Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder we have a big update. For update 1.89, the Japanese Navy has been officially announced. Now in the past videos that I've done over the last few months, I've talked about how in update 1.89 the Japanese fleet is coming. Well, we have official proof that the IGN is going to grace our eyes in War Thunder in update 1.89. What this also comes along with is, of course, some premiums, because obviously with every new tree in War Thunder, it normally goes into a CBT or a closed beta test, and you have to buy your way into it to test the new vehicles. So we'll be going through those today, and also some other stuff that is also talked about. So as you can see, it says in the next major updates, we will introduce the Japanese Naval Research Tree. Over 20 vessels, from torpedo boats to destroyers and cruisers, and they're happy to be able to throw them in one of the greatest naval forces in the world. The Royal Navy would like to have a chat. Now, what has also come along with this announcement is not just the two premiums that are coming along, which look really cool, and also the fact that, we do have a lot of previous Japanese vehicles that were tested in, the CCBT testing, I suppose you'd say, about a year ago. I suppose you call it the closed alpha testing at that point, such as some interesting boats and also some destroyers. They are also introducing a new ship class along with the Japanese fleet, heavy cruisers. So it looks like we're going bigger, and I've said many times that I thought this would happen, but I don't agree with the decision. I still don't agree with the decision. I don't think just going bigger on these machines really fixes anything, because, as I've said before, the inherent issue with the higher tiers of naval is that a battle boat or a PT boat matches up horribly against a destroyer matches horribly up against a light cruiser, and a light cruiser will match horribly up to a heavy cruiser. It is literally just a stepping stone of what is better than the other. And the problem with this is when you also add in the stock grind of many of these vehicles, it makes it nigh on impossible to be able to punch upwards, as to say. Whereas there are many mechanics in other game modes which are designed to help you with this, whether it's scouting, whether it's specific types of ammunition, whether it's a specific type of playstyles, or maybe even bombing or attacking, the ways that you can go. If you look on a ship versus ship combat, you've got a hell of a lot less options compared to, other game modes. So adding in heavy cruisers, well, I mean, technically, if you wanted to go from the British definition of a heavy cruiser, we already have them in game, the two, the Krasny, and also, I believe, the Klimov, with the large caliber guns. I mean, they're technically already heavy cruisers, but I'm guessing what we're going to get is the proper job heavy cruisers, which are designed to just annihilate small villages, or even annihilate towns. And I think it'll be incredibly fun to see them. One thing that we know from War Thunder is that the designs of a lot of these machines are incredibly beautiful, right? So the Japanese naval ships, I'm looking forward to that just because, they're going to be absolutely stunning on the eyes. But understand that I don't think this will fix, the inherent problems with naval, which is the power creep nature of just how naval works historically. There's a reason why destroyers would not just fight light cruisers in open combat, same with heavy cruisers. It just was not a good idea. They were designed for different roles, and if they had to fight each other, then it was very much a one-sided affair. Anyway, so the Japanese fleet testing for Update 1.89 will commence on the release of Update 1.89, which is wonderful, meaning that we'll probably have a similar way of unlocking these vehicles. So, not these vehicles, sorry, but the tech tree. Normally there's two options. You can either buy a pre-order pack, and you can see that there are 3 on offer right now. One for the PG-02, one for the Kiyoshimo, and one for the, bundle of the 2 packs together. I'll go through each of them and the pricing options, and also, how much each of them costs individually if you take away all of the, extra goodies that you get. So, the other way of being able to get into Japanese naval CBT is normally every time there is a CBT, they offer a list of tasks, and these daily tasks you can do a day. Once you complete enough of them, you'll be able to join the tester team for free. And this is noted here, showing that they're keeping that same method from other times, which is great. So if you want to get into the Japanese CBT, but don't want to buy these packs, you'll still have to, it'll take you a little bit longer than people who buy it, but you'll still be able to get into it thanks to these daily tasks, which is great. It's good to offer both of these options. This is also 20% off, making the deal actually worth it. As I said, we'll go into it in a bit. The first machine which is on offer when it comes to these premium machines is the PG-02, and it's called Death on Hydrofoils. I'm not sure I would go that far, but I would say I am very much interested in this machine for 2, maybe 3 reasons. The first one is that it has a 20mm Vulcan gun on the front of it. So if you don't know what the Vulcan gun is, it's a 6-barreled 20mm autocannon which fires incredibly rapidly and is able to dish out a lot of pain incredibly quickly. One of the issues I've personally seen with hydrofoils is that their firepower is not always the best. And the PG-02, all it has, at least at the moment, is this Vulcan Vulcan cannon, I should say. To be honest, its firepower looks like it's a little bit lacking, but it's still a lot better than other hydrofoils in the game. It also is looking like it's going to be a little bit of a lower BR than others at a rank 2, where a lot of the hydrofoils are a little bit higher. Obviously, the main reason to use a hydrofoil is its speed and its dynamicism and through the battlefield, meaning that you can go around incredibly quickly around the place. This machine is no different, going up to over 90 kilometers an hour or 50 knots. It's also quite small, so hitting it is going to be at least something that's going to take a little bit more accuracy, especially at the speed it's going. And something that has also been added to this, which you don't normally see on boats, is the fact that it has smoke grenades. This vehicle, as you can see behind the Vulcan gun, actually has smoke grenades in these little areas here, which you can fire in front of you. Now, I can't think of a shipping game where you can actually do that. There might be one, I just, I'm a bit ignorant to it, and these will actually explode above the water, meaning that they'll give you good cover. So they're using the pre-existing mechanic they just added to ground forces, where the smoke grenades will actually blow up in the air instead of having to hit the ground, showing that these mechanics can be used across game modes. So this means that capturing zones, this means that if you need to get away from, people trying to kill you, you are going to be able to put distance between you and them using the speed of your machine and using the speed of the, the cover, I should say, of the smoke grenades. The only problem, of course, with hydrofoils, and also ones which aren't very large, is you don't have a lot of crew, and once you hit hard. And this is something which you're going to have to get to grips with the PG-02. So it can dish out a lot of damage with its machine gun. It can run and be versatile in that sense, but you need to make sure to not get hit. And unfortunately, that's quite hard to do, especially in Naval Arcade, the main game mode I play. Now, another thing as well is the Vulcan has a fire rate of 6,000 shots per minute, so you're going to dish out a hell of a lot of firepower. Has access to HE shells and also some APCR shells, meaning that you will be able to pen pretty much anything you find. hopefully being a rank 2, this thing won't face many destroyers. This is prime destroyer bait, right? It doesn't have torpedoes, it doesn't really have anything that can deal with destroyers, so if this thing ever gets matched up against destroyers, it will just get caned. So I'm really hoping that that never happens for it. I'm sure that it won't. I'm sure that it will be a bit more lower BR, but just understand, if it is anywhere near the destroyer BR, just don't even bother. The other thing as well is that you may think this thing's a bit bare bones, and also it's a post-war machine. I mean, the fact it's got a Vulcan gun should have told you this. One of the things that you find with a lot of these crafts is that in War Thunder, they're a lot more stripped down than generally you would see them in real life when it comes to their weaponry. And that's because machines like this, such as the PG-02, would also carry anti-ship missiles. Now, there are some anti-ship missiles in the files of the game. I've actually done a user mission showing, some of these anti-ship missiles, and and they are very much fun, but understand that these would be kind of like a kill switch, since we don't really have a counter to them. If you look at generic counters of missiles when it comes to real life, there are some counters to them. One of the more predominant ones is just throw as much material at it to try and knock it off course. And in War Thunder, we don't really have that option yet. Maybe in the future we will, when it comes to anti-missile targeting systems. But understand that this machine here, the PG-02, if they decide to put in anti-ship missiles, anti-ship guided missiles, I should say, this machine changes from a very fast, very maneuverable, decently well-armed machine to a destroyer killer. And it's a really small addition, the anti-ship missile, but it could have a massive room for growth, right, on this machine. If this gets those anti-ship missiles, you bet a lot of people will really enjoy, using this machine. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about this machine and its progress for the future. Understand that they say that nothing is confirmed with the anti-ship missiles. They're still kind of testing them. They don't know if they're going to put them in game or not, but just understand they are in the files. They are there, and you can create user missions from it. But anyway, moving on from this machine, what we have is, of course, the premium destroyer, the Kiyoshimo. Now, this is a variant of the Yugumo class, which we saw in the closed alpha test. I believe the first Japanese destroyer we ever saw was a Yugumo, and the Kiyoshimo is just a late war, late tier Yugumo class. And what that means is it has a ridiculous amount of AA guns and also very, very good turrets, or at least main turrets. One of the things that the Japanese are known for, or at least when it comes to World War II, is their larger ships, whether it be the cruisers, the destroyers, their battleships. Everybody knows the Yamato. Everybody knows the Yugamos. Everybody knows some of the other massive ships that the Japanese made. They're kind of known, for these in World War II, which is why a lot of people are looking forward to the Japanese Navy, because they want to see these really interesting machines come to the floor and create a bunch of firepower to annihilate anything close to them. And the Kiyoshimo is no different. So one of the things that the premium destroyers have always been, compared to their tech tree counterparts, is better than them. And I've never liked this. I've never liked how the fact that the German, the American, the Soviets, and the British premium destroyers are all better than their tech tree counterparts. I think that's an awful decision to make, but unfortunately, it's the world that we live in. And the Kiyoshimo is no different. Basically, what we have here is a better version of the tech tree equivalent. They even say in this dev blog that it is going to be better than its previous one, which is just crazy. So As it says, similarly to existing premium destroyers, the Kiyoshimo 2 will offer its future captains substantially improved anti-air capabilities over the regular version of the Yugamo destroyer, and will also grant instant access to the CBT of Japanese naval forces, along with the usual in-game benefits that come with premium vehicles. Right, so they're just saying it's better than the one that they're putting in the tree. Like, come on! Like, this is in effect paying for power, unless of course the BR is slightly different. But just understand that I'm just not okay with this. Like, I think this is an awful idea, but for some reason it's just been now repeated for 5 separate trees, and I don't see anybody else having a little bit of a fit about it like I am. But it's just, I really think it's a bad idea to put in premiums, especially CBT premiums, which are just flat out better than their tech tree counterparts. Like, surely that just adds a really bad precedent to the game. Also, another thing is we're probably going to have these sales pretty soon for Victory Day. So my guess is, maybe some of the destroyers will actually be on offer. Not this one, obviously, the Japanese lost. But some of the Allied stuff will probably be on offer, so make sure to look out for that. I'll cover it if it pops up in the news anytime soon. But anyway, the Yugamo class destroyers are well known for their decent firepower. This one is no different. It has 6 127mm guns, 4 mounted on the back and 2 mounted in the front in a dual setup. It also has access to 8 torpedoes. But the crowning jewel of this machine, the one that you have to watch out for, is the fact that it has a ridiculous amount of AA guns. This thing has 24 sets of 25mm autocannons. These are split into 4 triples, 1 dual, and 10 single turrets. You can actually see some of them in this video here if you look in the center. Like, look at these guys, right, in the middle there. One of the things I've talked about many times is aircraft getting close to destroyers, getting close to cruisers, and it's pretty much impossible to do now. It's pretty much impossible for the general plane to get close to, a destroyer, unless they're really not paying attention, which of course happens quite a lot. But understand that if you get a good player who knows what's going on, those guns will prevent anything getting anywhere near you, unless your AI is having a hissy fit, which obviously at a decent crew size shouldn't happen. So you've got ridiculous AA coverage, you've got a really good amount of firepower in the 6 127s, you've got access to torpedoes for that versatility, you'll also have access to speed and maneuverability. The Japanese larger ships should be some of the best in the game. And I say should be, because obviously without seeing them, we can't be fully sure, but just based on their historical significance, based on their historical descriptions, I easily think that these are going to be some of the best in the game. So if you haven't tried naval, and you're looking forward to the Japanese, well, there's a lot to be happy about, with these releases coming for update 1.89. So let's just have a look at the pre-orders themselves. This is the PG-02. You get the Fugu decal, which is the pufferfish. Then, of course, the risky title, which is kind of interesting. I suppose it is kind of risky taking a lightly armored machine and try and fizz it about a lot. But understand that this is $20 US, the PG-02, and if you take away the 7 days of premium and the 1,000 golden eagles, and obviously I always believe that these are just negligible when it comes to cost, this is around about $10 by itself. So if you are okay with spending a McDonald's meal on a pretty cool and innovative boat, which has a lot of room for expansion when it comes to the anti-ship missiles idea, I would definitely say this is worth it. Put down the Big Mac and pick this up for $10. That's how to look at it. Yes, it's overall $20, but with the other 2 parts that you get out of it, the ship itself or the boat itself is worth $10, right? So a McDonald's meal. The next one, the Kiyoshimo, is $49.99, so it gets a little bit higher here. And obviously, it's the same price as all of the destroyers on launch. You get premium account for 15 days, 2000 GE, and you also get a pre-order bonus of the Humpback Whale decal, which is a pretty nice decal, and also the Long Lance title, which is also, you know, it's a pretty decent title. I think the titles are a little bit worse than we've had in previous times, but, you know, I don't factor them into the cost, so it doesn't really matter. Now, with the Kiyoshimo, you can see here that the 15 days worth of premium and 2000 GE are generally worth about $15 overall US, so therefore the overall price of this is around about $35 for the destroyer itself. So if you see that as worth it to you, to get a destroyer which is going to be able to grind through everything when it comes to the Japanese tech tree pretty efficiently, you know. That's the one great thing about these destroyers, right? They are good at grinding out everything in each of the trees. I'm sure as we get bigger ships, though, you know, it'll become a little bit less useful. But the main thing is that you can efficiently grind out everything with this. And also, another thing with it is with all of the 25mm, with all of the very large guns, with the 610mm torpedo tubes, it's looking like one of the best of the premium destroyers as well. So just keep that in mind for the Kiyoshimo. It's really looking great for the Japanese right now in the IGN. The next one is, of course, the bundle, which is basically you get both of the packs at a reduced price of 20%. And if you get this bundle, which is literally just $6 more than this, by the way, $6 more than this. So if you can, I would always get this bundle instead of this, right? There is no reason right now, in my opinion, to buy this. And you like it's $6 more. You get a whole other pack. You get 1000 GE. You get 7 days, and you get all the other stuff as well. Like, this is just such a much better deal than getting the destroyer pack. So if instead, you know, you want the destroyer, you just want the destroyer, I would still heavily consider this, just because of the fact of the cost itself. Because the cost, when you break it down, it means that both vehicles are around about $15.50. So much cheaper than the individual packs. Much cheaper than the individual packs, and therefore should definitely be looked at as a option when you are purchasing this. This one, value for money wise, is a hell of a lot better than the other two, and but it is nice that if you have a little bit less money, you know, you still have access to a smaller priced machine, which, you know, looks really cool. So yeah, the 4 big announcements, the 2 pre-order packs, the fact that we are getting heavy cruisers for the Japanese, going to really look forward to having a look at them on the dev server, and also on top of that as well, we have the Japanese fleet coming itself in War Thunder and Update 1.89. It's a wonderful occasion. Many will rejoice, and I'm personally looking forward to it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, Dyslexic Child, Martinez, Matati, Moxie, Nito, Nick Graham, Alobralo, and Super Cacti for supporting me on Patreon.